Jason Gilbo here with Nick Tasso, taking a look at some stacking options for tonight's slate. 13 games. We have cores. I'm kind of disappointed because that Giants-Reds game, it's Matt Cain and Bronson Arroyo in Great American Ballpark, but it starts at 6:40, so it's not in any main slates.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think we should petition really to get that game on there for tonight because that is one game which can see a lot of offensive production. But you know what? It's just what we got to do. We got to move on. We can't use it and go from there.
Yeah, and touching on the core slate real quick, I definitely think the Diamondbacks stack is much more in potential than the Rockies is, but once again, in cores, I never mind either.
Yeah, absolutely not. I mean, I know Zach Greinke going for the Diamondbacks is a good pitcher. Struggles though at cores like most starters do. So I can kind of see going one-offs here and there with a couple guys. But full stack, probably not. Like you said, I like Arizona a little bit more.
Yep. But jumping into our stacks for tonight, I'll lead things off here with the Mets going up against Tom Kohler. A little bit of weather concern here. Keep an eye on this one. I think there's a lot of weather concern on tonight's games, but Tom Kohler's been awful this year. I mean, he's already allowed 7 home runs. 5 of those have come to lefties. He's allowing a 543 WOBA to lefties with a 43% hard contact rate. This is definitely not the lineup to struggle against lefties with. I mean, Conforto, Cabrera, Bruce, who's been on an absolute tear, Neil Walker, 1 through 4 there. I like him quite a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the Bruce play. I think he's almost in the must-play territory. He's just been on fire. And like you said, Kohler's been pretty terrible against lefties. All he needs is one at-bat, really, and he could make you happy.
Yeah, and their DraftKings prices, I mean, really underpriced. Bruce, who's been, one of the hottest hitters, he's only 4,200. Everyone else is below 4K. So, if you're looking to pay up on the hill, which there's a lot of pay up options, I mean, the Mets stack on DraftKings is one you can easily pair up with it.
Yeah, there's so many good options for the Mets just because you do have that lefties going up against Kohler. So I like that. My first stack of the night would be Washington. I know Bryce Harper is day to day, so keep an eye on him if he's in or not. But even still, you still got Trey Turner, Murphy, and even Ryan Zimmerman, who might come up a little bit just because of Harper's injury. I'm not in love with the prices on DraftKings, but you know what? I think they're going to be worth it. They're a nice contrarian play because a lot of people are going to be on cores. But going up against a young and experienced starter in Philadelphia definitely is going to add to a lot of scoring for them.
Yeah, I mean, Philly, Citizens Bank, good hitters park. I mean, red hot offense right now. Yeah, Zimmerman's been crushing the ball. I mean, doesn't matter what hand on the hill with you. I think if Harper's out, I still think the stack is fine because you just get Daniel Murphy, who solid lefty. I mean, who's going to come in and just probably bump up in the lineup a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And we saw Chris Heisey replace Harper the other day. So keep an eye on where he bats in the lineup. He's not great. He's much better against lefties. So who knows? But you could always throw him in. He's only 2,700.
Baltimore was my next one. Yeah, they got Kyle Kendrick last night. A little bit tougher matchup tonight, but it's still not much. I mean, Miguel Gonzalez is average at best. I mean, on the season, he hasn't looked bad. ERA's been fine, but I mean, xFIP over 5, Sierra 4.88. I mean, I don't think it's going to last much longer. Camden Yards, one of the friendlier parks in baseball. Fly ball pitcher as well. So, I mean, Manny Machado, who's come out for a great series at Fenway. Chris Davis, always a boomer bust play. Adam Jones, Seth Smith leading off. I mean, Baltimore has one of the higher run totals on the night, and I definitely think the blow potential. I mean, this is probably my favorite high upside stack outside of cores as far as like home run potential goes, but it's definitely not the safest.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. We've seen a lot of times Baltimore in good spots just throw up goose eggs this year, or one or two. So I kind of agree with you. It's not the safest, but like you said, there's a huge upside with them, especially with Machado. He's really been crushing the ball over this past series. I don't know if it was just because he hates the Red Sox, but I definitely like him. He's hot, and even so, like you said, Chris Davis, he is what he is. He can really take the ball out of the park. Um, Good ballpark for him as well. Not a huge fan of Trumbo just because he hasn't played very well this year, but he still has that power in him.
Yeah, Trumbull's been. I kind of expected last night maybe him to get off the schneid a little bit, but that didn't happen. I think that's kind of why maybe I just looked towards Seth Smith and started off with him instead of going with like Jones, Machado, Davis, Trumbo instead.
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely a good possibility. And plus, you said Gonzalez really isn't that good of a starter, even though some of his numbers have looked a little bit good this year.
Yeah. Tigers, I know is a team you're looking at.
Yeah. Uh, Basically, they got Andrew Triggs, who in most of his starts has looked very good. He's given up 0 runs, but he's also had a start where he's given up 6. This, I agree with you, isn't really a safe play, especially with potential Kinsler being day to day and not sure what's going on with the lineup and the construction, but I think this also has some good upside. It's not a good ballpark at all, but if these guys are in there at good prices, which they clearly are, they could snag a lot of hits and just make something happen.
Yeah, I'm always a fan of a late night West Coast stack because it always goes much underowned. Tigers offense good, very good against right-handed pitching. It does look like the wind's blowing out quite a bit. I mean, it looks like 16, 17 miles per hour, so that will help. As far as use for lineup construction, I mean, if Kinsler's out, I know we've been seeing Tyler Collins shoot up into the lineup, good bat from the left side, but hard not to like a stack of like Castellanos and Miguel Cabrera, Kinsler if he's in there, Upton, who's been coming around as well.
Yeah, even Alex Avila, if he's in there too, he's been pretty good lately. He's pretty affordable too. So I don't mind them. The only thing I don't like is the ballpark, but like you said, if the wind is blowing out, you never know what could happen.
Back to Camden Yards for me. This is definitely probably your contrarian stack of the night. Um, that's the White Sox. I mean, they haven't been bad against lefties this year. In terms of a WOBA as a team, I mean, they're up there top 10. Um, ISO's been top 15 as well. I mean, even with Todd Frazier, who's questionable, I mean, Avisel Garcia is certainly a bat you can toss in there. Um, I just don't think that Jose Abreu's starting to come around. I mean, hitting the ball really hard over the last week or so. Home runs are starting to come around after a slow start. Wade Miley, I mean, he's just been kind of out of control. I mean, 19 walks so far this season, but 30% strikeout rate. I mean, he's been kind of just all over. I think he's just been really effectively wild. So with the White Sox being patient against lefties, Miley's still allowing a hard contact rate to right-handers that's pretty high in that ballpark. I mean, they're going to go under-owned, and I kind of like him as just a sneaky stack.
Yeah, I agree with you. They're going to go extremely underowned because people are going to look at Miley's base numbers and think that he's been pitching well this year when in reality he hasn't. He's like you said, he's gotten pretty lucky. And it just is what it is. So I think these White Sox, you'll get good ownership rate. They're not even that expensive outside of really Abreu. Like you said, Frazier might not play, but to be honest with you, at the price that Davidson's at, replacing Frazier, I kind of like him. He's been up and down this year, obviously, as a rookie, so there's not much statistics on him, but he's had some pretty big games, and I don't mind throwing him in there.
Yeah, I mean, Davidson's a guy who I can plug and play as well if you want to have the fifth guy. I mean, I'm with you. I think ballpark helps out. I think people are probably not a believer in either of these guys, Miley or Chicago, but I think they're just going to be planning on staying away.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I touched on, pretty good lineup construction. You're able to fit a lot of guys into the lineup at the price tag, and like you alluded to, Avisel Garcia. I haven't checked lately, but is he still leading in batting average, 371?
He has to be.
Yeah, that's pretty up there. Even though I know in the National League you got a guys flirting around 400, but Garcia, I like him. It's just
Yeah.
every time I play him, he doesn't get hits.
Okay. Well, don't play him tonight. Let
Uh,
me have Garcia tonight.
Alrighty, yeah, I will bypass him. So moving on to my last stack. And this one's a little bit of a crazy one. And now at 2 out of 3 that I've picked in pretty good pitchers parks. I'm going with the Dodgers tonight. They just have so much potential against Chacin, who really isn't a good pitcher at all. We've seen Chacin have some good games this year, but he's also had a couple where he's kind of blown up. And that's kind of what you need when you have when you're stacking. You want that potential of a huge blowout game of 5, 6, 7 runs rather than just those consistent 3, 4. So that's why I like the Dodgers tonight. And I mean, if you look at it too, they're not priced that terribly as well. You get a lot of guys right around the 4K mark, and you can kind of fit them in pretty nicely.
Yeah, I mean, Seager's your most expensive, and I don't even feel like he's all that expensive.
Yeah, absolutely not. I mean, DraftKings 4,400 for the potential that he has going up against Chacin is very immense. San Diego, because of the ballpark, I think ownership rate is going to be pretty low as well. So that's definitely going to be a bonus.
Yeah, and I look at Petco Park. I mean, kind of neutral for lefties there. I like. I mean, Seager has some power. Grandal as well. I mean, Andrew Tolles, I don't mind leading off. He's been fine. Justin Turner, even though he's not a lefty, I mean, this guy mashes righties anyway.
Absolutely. And just keep an eye on who they throw in at first.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, if you're going the 5-man stack, Gonzalez has been so bad.
Yeah, so we will see. I think he's dealing with an injury too, which means you would get potentially Bellinger. So, and he's been very good.
Yeah, big fan of his. So that's going to wrap things up here. You can head over to DaveFantasyCafe.com, check out the great tools and content.